Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much, Ian. And hi, everyone. I would say nice to see you, but I cannot see you, so I hope nice to see me. And I'm happy to talk about my passion. Um, I love this topic. The biodiversity, data management, and processing and sharing, and help conservationists with science and connect these fields. So this is the things that I'm doing for several years, and working more and together in this field, more and more people, researchers, conservationists, and some other area. So now I'm sharing my screen, and I will show some insight for you. Maybe I, I'm not sure, but maybe it will be a little bit different or unusual. I don't want to talk too much about the deep technical details, but you can ask any. But a little bit more about the conceptual things, why and how we approach things, and following this track, I will add some technical details, all important technical details in nutshell, or I'm mentioning. So first, because I assume you are not really familiar with the biodiversity data, but maybe you are, but I don't know. So first, a little bit, I would like to talk about this. What does it mean, biodiversity, and what does it mean, the biodiversity data? A little bit, I'm going ahead. So the biodiversity has different meanings. Diversity of living nature altogether, which means genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecosystem diversity as well. Mostly people think that species diversity is the biodiversity. This figure gives you a good insight. What does it mean? Lots of insects, half of the biodiversity, maybe, and other animals and plants, a big portion, and other creatures, diversity a little bit less. But this part is decreasing extremely fastly. So when I'm talking about biodiversity data, mostly I will talk about collecting biodiversity observation of species, or maybe ecosystem diversity, but I'm not talking about the genetic diversity. We have some project related this, but I don't want to talk about everything.
Close. And the slides is not on presenting mode.
Yes, would you like if I change it?
It will be, that's, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry for the disturbing.
So the biodiversity data, I will explain it. Why this biodiversity data important for economy, not just for the scientist, and not just for the conservation. It's a different thing. And the OpenBioMaps role in this here related to biodiversity data, the data collection and data harmonization, and also the data usage. How can we make predictions, work together with conservationists, and work together with participants of different area of the economy? These are the bullet points what I would like to share with you today. So the observational data that I mentioned of this biodiversity species observational data is not a complicated thing. It's usually what we see. So if someone I go to the field, just leave my office and go to the nearest place where I can take some nature observation. Is the botanical garden is 100 meters away from my window, fortunately. So there I can make some observation, and if I take some notes, what does it mean, the observation, what the species name, when I have seen that species, where it has been observed, and how many individuals observed. This is a very basic scenario, very basic data structure that we collect, and there are millions and millions and millions of these kind of records all around the world, and there are complex, big system help people to collect this data, to store this data, and help people to manage this data in lots of countries, and there are international projects, citizen science projects, special scientific projects, and so on. What can we do with this kind of simple data? We can model the species population distributions, which is an interesting one. Where are the species living, and what is the size of this population that we have observed? So the spatial extension and the size, how many individuals live in their population, what is the density, so we can modeling, make estimation of the density of the population, different kind of composition parameter we can calculate. And also with this data, with this simple data, we can track changes of the population if we repeat the observation according to some strict protocols. We can follow the changes of the population. These are typical long-term monitoring project, maybe 20 years or longer, to track some changes of a population. So the long-term data collection is a very interesting and important part of biodiversity data collection, which is not an easy thing, because all the things changing by the time, the tools that the people use, the people who involved in the data collection, and the technologies to process the data, and also the statistical knowledge to analyze the data. So everything is changes within 20 or 30 years. It's not an easy thing to track population changes. So if someone would like to do this kind of, maybe this is the most complex I think that we can do with biodiversity data. We should be very clever when we designing the methodologies. And a little bit, I switched to another area, especially the ecosystem services. I think all of you heard lots about this word. It has two parts. The positive effects, so the ecosystem, the biodiversity help us in lots of things. That's why we have soil, that's why we have air, that's why we have fresh water and food many places. And especially the microclimate is absolutely influenced by the biodiversity, but the bigger climate as well, and so on. And there are problems related to changes of the biodiversity, or changing of the ecosystem. For example, the desertification, infection, invasive species, forest fires, and finally, different kind of economic risks due to the increasing regulation, price fluctuation, and so on. So these things, the biodiversity data that I mentioned previously, and processing the data, using this data, somehow should be connected with this list of things that I listed here in this slide. I will talk a little bit about, because here I can mention the OpenBioMaps, the project, which is absolutely aiming to connect the two things that I were talking about the importance of biodiversity for the society, economy, and so on, and the biodiversity data, the observation data. So with the OpenBioMaps, we are here between these two areas. The OpenBioMaps is approximately a 15 years old project. We started 2011, so just 14 years. It is a bottom-up project. We started from the University of Debrecen together with the National Park. We wanted to solve at the beginning one problem, to help the national parks to publish their data in a public way, because it used to happen that the national park got some support to collect some data, and they have to share this data, public sharing the data, and they hadn't have any permanent solution for this. So after each grant period, they develop some tools to share the data, some maps, and after a while, 1 or 2 years, they couldn't continue the support to keep running this project. It was not a nice solution, and they wanted to develop a better permanent solution which can be reused and easy to keep running and cheap to the development and the maintenance. And also we were talking about to make collaboration between the university and the national parks, because it's nice that they can share data, but if nobody watch this data, it is a little bit meaningless. And if we have closer connection with the data, because we help in the data management, we know better the data, maybe we will use it from the university. So this was the basic idea, something to start develop a new system. And at that time, there wasn't any similar system available, even free or system which is not free. So we started to develop something own, and by the time we added more and more features, more and more tools. And at the beginning, it just was a simple web map interface. I will share. So in this web page, I hope you can see. This web page is just an OpenBioMaps web interface, and another one, and the other one. So we started to develop the web application which is able to display some map of data collected. And if I go back to the slides, so this was the first thing that we developed, the web maps. And later we added some user management part, because not all the data shared in the project. So it's a good direction, good aim to share everything, but it's many times it's not possible due to different reasons. For example, the researchers many times didn't want to share sensitive data while they're doing the research, because they want to publish their data first, or these are sensitive data and don't want to get any disturbance. And also the conservationists, for example, National Park, didn't want to share the exact location of some strictly protected species, because there are only few individuals, and maybe there are some collectors, or just there are some people who would like to take a photo or something. So not all the data shared, and we should accept this need. And therefore we have to create a good user management, because in each project, even if it is within a national park or a research institute or a university, there can be different roles. So this user management by the time became very complicated. Maybe I will talk about a little bit later. And the next things after a few years was that we started to develop a mobile application. I hope I can share the screen. This is a mobile application which has been designed to support people who are working on the field, collecting data, observation and data. This application is an extremely flexible tool which able to connect different servers. I will talk about what does it mean, and download different forms. Here we can see some examples, and these forms can include various number of form fields with different settings according to different data collection protocols. So it can be very simple or very complicated, absolutely depending on the people who are using this form and they setting up their forms. So there are no centralized support. We are not developing data collection forms, but we developed a framework where people can put together their data collection forms according to their needs, and we are communicating them, talking them, asking them how can we help them to add further tools and tricks and solutions to help them to improve the user experience and improve the quality of the data they collected. Somehow, yes. Oh, okay. So I'm going back to this slide. So we started to, after a while, we started to support people who are working on the field with a mobile application, which changed a lot. So with this web maps and the first tools, I would like to show this in this web application. There are some data upload possibility. We developed web forms which are compatible to mobile application forms to upload files, for example, Excel files or other file types, for example, CSV, DSV, GPX, ODS, shape, and other different kind of files. People started to upload their own data that they have collected in different kind of file formats, and they spent few years and millions of data just came into these databases. And after the mobile application development, after a few years, the mobile application developers have to collect much more data because with the online forms, we just supported to archive collecting into databases the archived data. But with the mobile application, people could make observation in the field, and they didn't. They just could use directly the OpenBioMaps mobile application to collect the data, comparing to other solution when people use different kind of mobile application and field notes and typing the field notes to Excel sheets and transform it to digital forms and so on. So complicated. And a little bit later, we added some tools to support the data processing. We developed an R package, which helped in some only in few projects because the conservationists usually are not really familiar to using the R. But in the research project, People really enjoy that they have a chance to follow the data, and meanwhile they are collecting the data. So a data collection maybe takes 2 weeks, maybe it takes 2 months, but it's really important to follow what's happening day to day. And if you have an R package which is able to connect to the database, can fetch the data, can create figures, it can help a lot to keep the quality of the data collection. So here in the GitHub, people can find this R package. There is a description. It's available to anyone to use. And later we started to make this OpenBioMaps tools more flexible. So we added extension support where people can where people have some connection with other projects, for example, GBIF or utilising, they would like to automatically share data with other systems or would like to fetch regularly data from other systems work together. We created an interface where people can upload their own program or scripts, their own scripts, for example, Python, PHP, or R script to solve these things. So we created a framework for this kind of extension. And we also changed the web interface to a modular interface. And here I think I have to mention that the first few years, the first few bullet points, I was working alone in this project. And later some volunteer developer joined me and we worked together. And now there is a little bit bigger team because in the Hungarian government, the agricultural ministry choose the OpenBioMaps as to an official biodiversity data management platform. So now we have 3 full-time developers in this project who are working on the OpenBioMaps. And also there are some volunteer developers and there are some other developer students and so on. So it's not a big group, and we hadn't had any big support. Maybe I know some project which just from the starting to reach these kind of results and complexity, they need only 1 or 2 years. And we spent 14 years and still working on lots of things. But we are really following the needs of people, of our users, because we have no extra energy to develop any tools which we are not sure that will be used. So the next thing, the document management, I would like to mention. We developed the web application. This is only one working example here. This application is a tool for managing the Natura 2000 report documents for helping the ministries when they are reporting for the European Union. So this document management system is a general and flexible platform, but we tried on only one type of document. So we integrated a document management tool. And maybe I don't need to show everything. It has some validation part. So there is a JSON scheme behind the database. The database is the JSON database, and this JSON schema validating the already added fields and give back some feedback. People, there's something missing here, and this is okay, this block, and help people and create a sentence bank to offer an option to a people creating the document and finally people able to export the whole document and create a report. So we have the document management tool within this framework, and the custom application integration shortly. For example, this Kirovox database focusing on BET calls. This is a custom application developed this group. Another custom application for the OpenBirdMaps. So behind this application, also the OpenBioMaps is the database which is serving the background data. And we developed some data visualization, data processing, and data analysis tools as well within the Jupyter framework or with R-Shiny and other tools. So how the whole OpenBioMaps ecosystem look like? This is we are following a federated approach. So there not exist a centralized big OpenBioMaps server, but there are several servers. This is a self-hosted system, so anyone can download the source code and in the documentation and can set up a server, and there are lots of servers. I can show on this OpenBioMaps database, which is a database of the known OpenBioMaps servers. Most of the servers are running in Hungary, but there are some servers in other countries. So there are servers run by different institutes and independent institutions, and these servers are independent from each other. And on each server, there can be lots of independent projects. For example, the University of Debrecen server, this big green circle, consists of, I don't know how many, 30 or 40 different projects, most of them citizen science or research projects. But comparing to the servers managed or maintained by national parks, there used to be only one or two projects related to the national parks, or maybe some research project which operated by the national park. So there can be different projects in one servers, and each project in a server independent in a point of view of the software. So there are independent software installation within the servers, but there are some common parts and also independent parts. It has several reasons why we choose this approach, but the most important thing, the maintenance cost. The maintenance cost this way is the lowest that we found, because people manage their own servers, people manage their own projects mostly, and they need only very few support hours. Okay, we are following an open source approach. There is a developer community involved, developers from different fields, business area, researchers, conservationists as well, joined as a developer and professional developer as well. We are organizing meeting with developers and people who are using the system to understand their needs and expectations, and we are organizing regular events for this. Just few things that I would like to mention here: the continuous integration and continuous deployment logic that we are using with the GitLab, and most of the service that we are using now running in a Dockerized environment. So the OpenBioMaps web application and several other services using Docker, and all the software dependencies that we are using, also open source things like PostgreSQL, map server, PHP, and so on. And we usually try to use the most robust and well-known solution and less dependencies as possible, because we don't want to spend too much time with the problems of the maintenance. And there are lots of background services, and here is the connection with the EGI EOSC, because on the EOSC ecosystem, we could set up lots of servers, and these servers work as a common background services, which background services are available for all the independent installation of the OpenBioMaps. For example, a GitLab CI/CD runner, or a Weblate communicate translation platform, or a Sentry for application debugging, or an AirShiny data visualization server, or a Jupyter server, or some number crunching server for ecological modeling, typically long run models when people running one calculation model for weeks or months sometimes. These just I'm sharing the OpenStack interface provided by the SZTAKI, is part of the EOSC, the Open Science Cloud. We have 5 instances, server instances that we are currently using, computation server, 2 number cruncher, 1 general service, and 1 OpenBioMap server for testing approaches. But sometimes we used to change these servers according to the needs, current needs. And we also have some other servers provided by other institutes which supporting the OpenBioMaps, for example, universities or other research institutes. So altogether, I don't know how many servers we have, approximately 10 or 10 and 15 somewhere. And unfortunately, these services are not permanent, because even we have a long-term collaboration and connection with the EOSC, I don't know that we can keep these servers running for the next 5 years. So we are not building permanent services on top of these providers' infrastructure, but temporal services. But it's very good. We can change, and we can apply. We can build our services based on the current needs of people. So if we need more number cruncher server because there are lots of researcher needs, we stop the OpenBioMap server and create 1 more server, and this field or something. It used to happen sometimes. So our connection with the EOSC is so simple. We're just using virtual server options, and we build our virtual server based on the current need, and these servers running for 1 year or 2 years maybe, or just a few months. Okay. And okay, I'm running out of time, but still I have some things. The data harmonization is an interesting topic, I think, because as I mentioned, there are different servers in the OpenBioMaps ecosystem, database, and maybe other data sources that we would like to harmonize. Because if all the data, for example, national parks and universities completely independent, and they do their work as they want, if there is no connection between them, it's hard to utilize this data. So we should help them to make some data harmonization. So we developed a methodology and some example project to do the data harmonization based on the PostgreSQL tools, material views and views, and foreign tables, and also based on the tools provided by the OpenBioMaps. So this was my idea to create this kind of harmonization. There are at least 2 or 3 levels of harmonizations. First, a simple changing of the data, and after follow this simple harmonization when we only change maybe the column names or something, not any serious changes. We create a virtual centralized database where we putting together the data according to different output needs. So we're not trying to create a general harmonized data set because it's almost impossible, but instead we create data harmonization according to special needs. For example, EU report on Natura 2000 species or habitats or something. I think this methodology works better than any bigger permanent harmonized data set, because we can follow much easier the source data comparing to those databases which do some permanent changes on the data and provide the harmonized data as a new data. We keep the connection to the source databases, so from any level people able to check the source data behind the harmonized data. So this is our technical solution to harmonize the data. And I would like to mention here the European level of data harmonization. So in the European Union, they are collecting data from the state nature conservation, citizen data, and research institutes, do some unknown black box harmonization. Currently, this is the current way, and use this harmonized data like this output, very simplified output, but we don't know nothing connection between the original data and the output to support, for example, the European Green Deal strategy, the decision making. But I know most of this data not based, most of these results not based on real data, just some unrepeatable prediction created by people who just watched the data and made some prediction that, okay, according to my opinion, 15% outsource or something. So these are not so accurate, and maybe there are very big errors in this process, and I don't like it, and we don't like it, and would like to change this situation. And this is the thing where I'm switching to what we are planning to do next with the OpenBioMaps and what kind of collaboration and technical tools we would like to use. There are the biodiversity data has so it has 2 directions. Impact. One direction is the impact, and the other direction is the exposure of business, investment, nature conservation, society, or something. And unfortunately, these things more or less can be investigated and when can be supported with data. If some emission or pollution happening, we can measure more or less accurately, and this data can be used and can be transferred for further step higher levels. But the exposure indicators, calculating the exposure indicators, we are far away from this to do this accurately. And not really connected with other things. There are some strategies to connect the biodiversity initial investment to the economic strategy, which would be I think, a very important aim to how to use this data and how to help the whole society with this data. But the problem here is there is no connection, real connection between these levels. So we have a biodiversity initial assessment, for example, with the OpenBioMaps. We collect the data and do some analysis, but we have no connection with these further levels. And my question is, how can we connect directly with the economic strategy? Is there any way to communicate with this level and work together? And we started to work on this and develop further tools and practices. So analysis and decision support for there are two aims: analysis and decision support for producers and government agencies, and analysis and decision support for business companies and financial organizations. These two slides are very similar. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Just would like to mention that that we would like to develop models and develop stress test solution in both cases, and work together with these people. So what we already reached and what we would like to do to reach this aim, we would like to follow the bottom-up approach with the OpenBioMaps, the federated, developing federated services and connect these services, do some data harmonization according to people needs, and sharing analysis, searching good analysis practices, and sharing experiences where people work with companies, business people, investment people, or somebody. Organize some education events, especially how to use the data, how to collect the data, because many times people are not collecting good quality data, but they would like to use and they would like to collect, but they don't know how to collect data. But in the universities, as a researcher, we know something about this part, and we can help them. And we are developing research collaboration, support the nature conservation planning. This already started to work. So we used to organize yearly meetings, few days long meetings for conservationists, and working together on some analysis on specific question, and help them to collect better data and understand the data. And we also would like to extend this effort to work together with investment and business people, and organize similar events and work them and understand what they need, and how can we help them with analysis, and how can we help them with data management. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very excellent. It's such an impressive result coming from this project for so long time. It's amazing. I just want to see any question from our audience, any comments, anything. Yes. I do not see any hands, but yes, it's a really impressive development for me. So many tools, I found this so practical. And for this data harmonization, do you have any standard used for already for the data? I guess data from everywhere, from individual. I don't know any standard followed to harvest this data. Is that challenging there?
Yes, in the harmonization, yes, we try to follow standards, and it is also can be an aim of a harmonization to follow some standards. For example, the GBIF developing standards, and we have some experience already to share data on the GBIF system. So, and in this case, we developed some metadata management tools for help people.
Yes. Oh, that's a really really amazing really achievement. And then you posed this question, how to link the biodiversity into ecology the decision. Do you also have any thinking about that? Or
Sorry, could you repeat the question? It wasn't clear for me.
I think in one of your slides you pose a question, how to link your biodiversity data to the ecology eco.
Yes, it's a very beginning.
Yeah. So do you have yourself have any answer to this?
So
So we are actually this biodiversity data collection is as the basic bottom of the life cycle, I guess. And then
yes,
how you link to the economy model and decision-making process. Do you post this question in one of your slides?
yes, it was the last slide. Okay, economy. Yes. How can we skip these
Yeah.
levels? And I don't know yet. This is a question.
Yeah.
We are discussing. There is ongoing discussion with the Hungarian National Bank, for example, and some business people who are interested in biodiversity and who can understand what does it mean, the importance of biodiversity. So it's and I also reading economic books and try to understand what they are doing. So we are, especially I am on this track to understand how can we work together with economists. So there is no results here. It just started. There are lots of more and more discussion in this field, and
Yes.
my ideal aim is here to create some services which is based on scientific research, and these services connecting researchers with business people without business part. So I have seen some companies who are offering this kind of, for example, this company here, the figure. I use a dank stuffed company, and I know some companies who working in this field and try to sell their knowledge, but I think it's not a solution. So we have to make a free knowledge, and we have to involve the science in this process somehow. I don't know yet how.
Yeah. Any comments, anything from our audience, any expert in this area can comment on something? And I don't know whether this can link with some European destination. They are especially in the area of food security, climate change. I know this another project that they are focusing on some drought, and this kind of climate impact on the agriculture, and that's yeah, I don't know. I'm not expert. Yeah, but okay, I do not see
I
it.
just maybe if we give some time, maybe someone ask something. I just would like to share some screen that I forgot to mention. For example, this is the QGIS the desktop GIS application, which can directly connect to those PostgreSQL databases that we created within the OpenBioMaps framework. And this is a technical, I think, interesting technical approach that we not changing the original data structure of the databases that people use, because we are this way we can directly share the data through other applications. For example, the QGIS. If we would change the data structure, we should add some views and we should put extra work on make the data available for other application. But instead of this, we following the original simple data structure like an Excel sheet. So when I connecting to this data server, but I don't know. I don't want to open the attribute table, this data sheet, because there are, I don't know how many, 5 million records in this table. But this is a simple table, two-dimensional table like an Excel, and we're just adding few extra columns in the OpenBioMaps to which is needed for the OpenBioMaps to optimize the efforts working with the tables and the data. And we also can build lots of views, because the PostgreSQL provide very good tools with the views and material views if there are special needs, but the original table is usually very simple, and we are not splitting the data, even if there is a big data quantity, not splitting smaller parts, if it is possible. So this is one technique that we are using, which I think is interesting. And this is also useful when we are using the Jupyter interface or the R, because people can directly fetch data from the databases and produce, for example, a distribution map with an environmental variables, as you can see here. This is one technical thing. One thing that may be interesting to mention, that people can manage their own data structure, so they can create new tables, add new tables, they can add new columns, and if they are doing it within the OpenBioMaps, these are PostgreSQL tables, the OpenBioMaps will be able to follow the structure of the tables. So it is extremely flexible, the whole system.
I found this all these applications implementation very advanced. This not only technical solution, but very practical. It's a very impressive achievement. Thank you. Thank you. It's about time. I found these webinars very, very interesting to me. I learned more.
Okay.
Then thank you very much.
Okay.
I hope to invite you back to our webinar soon to updating us the new development. I also keeping eyes on any project from a proposal opportunity from EGI. I think it's a very, very nice to be involved with OpenBioMaps. And then thanks again to our participant. Thank you.
Okay.
Also
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks to Federico.